Have you ever wondered how your favorite chocolate is made? Well, you're in for a treat. Today, we embark on a delightful journey, tracing the path of chocolate from its humble beginnings as a cacao bean, all the way to the rich, smooth bar that we all know and love. Our objective is simple: to demystify the art and science behind chocolate making. So sit back, grab a bar of your favorite chocolate, and journey with us from bean to bar. Our journey begins with the cacao tree, the source of all things chocolate. A cacao tree, or scientifically known as Theobroma cacao, is a tropical plant native to Central and South America. It thrives in regions that are within 20 degrees of the equator, in a climate that's warm and humid, with plenty of rainfall. This marvelous tree gives birth to cacao pods. These are oval-shaped fruits as big as a football, and they grow directly from the trunk of the tree. The cacao pods are nature's treasure chests, housing around 30 to 40 cacao beans each. These beans are the precious gems that hide within. They're enveloped in a sweet pulp-like substance, but don't let that fool you. The beans themselves are bitter, yet they hold the potential to be transformed into the sweet delicacy we all know and love. These cacao beans are the raw material for your favorite chocolate. Now that we know where the cacao beans come from, it's time to harvest them. The process begins when the ripe cacao pods, which house the precious beans, are carefully plucked from the tree. This is a delicate task, as the pods must be fully ripe and undamaged. Once gathered, the pods are split open, revealing a white pulpy substance surrounding the cacao beans. This pulp, although edible and sweet, is not what we're after. The real treasure lies within these beans, so they are scooped out and collected for the next stage. It's quite a labor-intensive process, as each pod holds around 40 to 50 beans, and it takes about 400 beans to make a single pound of chocolate. But it's worth every bit of the effort. Now, with the beans harvested and separated from their pods, we're ready to move on to the next stage of transforming these humble cacao beans into the decadent treat we all adore. With the beans harvested, it's time for the next step: fermentation. Fermentation is a crucial step in the chocolate-making process. Now, you might be wondering, what's fermentation got to do with chocolate? Well, it's all about flavor development. It's during this stage that the cacao beans start to acquire their distinct chocolatey taste. Here's how it works. Freshly harvested cacao beans are heaped into shallow containers and covered with banana leaves. The heat generated by the beans causes the pulp surrounding them to ferment. This fermentation process, which typically lasts between 5 to 7 days, plays a pivotal role in breaking down the beans' bitter compounds. During fermentation, the beans undergo chemical changes. Their sugars are converted into acids and the proteins into ammonia. This results in the development of precursors to what we know as the classic chocolate flavor. Fermentation is a bit like magic. It transforms the raw, astringent cacao beans into a delectable base for our beloved chocolate. Once fermentation is complete, it's time to dry the beans. Drying and roasting are the next steps on our bean-to-bar journey. After the beans are fermented, they're spread out to dry. This is a critical stage, a time when the beans are left to bask under the sun, surrendering all of their moisture. This drying process can take anywhere from 1 week to 2 weeks, depending on the climate. It's a slow dance with the sun, one that's crucial to prevent mold growth and preserve the beans' unique flavors. Once the beans are bone dry, they are ready to be roasted. This is where the magic really starts to happen. The beans are tossed into a roaster, where they're gently heated. Roasting is a delicate art. It can range from light to dark roasting, each bringing out distinct flavor profiles. Light roasting may highlight the fruity and acidic notes, while a dark roast might emphasize the deeper, earthy tones inherent in the beans. The roasting process isn't just about flavor, though. It's also about transformation. As the beans are heated, their sugars start to caramelize, their proteins break down, and their cell structure changes. This is what gives chocolate its characteristic taste and aroma. Once the roasting is done, the beans are cooled down. They've now transformed, leaving behind their raw, earthy origins and embracing their new, chocolatey destiny. When the beans are roasted and cooled, they're ready for the next step: grinding. Grinding turns the roasted beans into a liquid called chocolate liquor. We're now at a very crucial stage of chocolate making, where the beans undergo a transformative process. Picture those roasted cacao beans all dried up and ready, waiting to reveal the magic within them. This is where grinding comes into play. Grinding the beans is not as simple as it sounds. It's not just about crushing them down. It's a meticulous process that requires a careful balance of time and pressure. It's about breaking down those beans, freeing the nibs within and releasing their rich chocolatey essence. As the grinding begins, the heat from the friction starts to melt the natural fats within the beans. These fats, also known as cocoa butter, have a significant part in giving chocolate its unique velvety texture. As the process continues, the beans, originally solid and brittle, begin to transform into a thick, gooey paste. This paste, my friends, is what we fondly refer to as chocolate liquor. Despite the name, it's non-alcoholic. It's a beautiful, glossy substance that is purely intensely chocolate. It's the heart, the soul, the very essence of every chocolate bar you've ever tasted. The grinding process doesn't just transform the beans into a liquid, it transforms the raw, earthy flavor of the beans into the rich, decadent taste we all associate with chocolate. Now that we have chocolate liquor, we're one step closer to the finished product. The final steps in the chocolate making process are conching and tempering. Let's start with conching. This is a refining process where the coarse, grainy texture of the chocolate is smoothed out. The name comes from the shell-like shape of the conching machine, which stirs and aerates the chocolate over a period of time. It's during this process that the chocolate's flavor is fine-tuned. The heat generated in the conching process helps to evaporate any residual moisture and acidity, creating a well-rounded flavor profile. The length of the conching process can vary, lasting anywhere from a few hours to several days, depending on the desired flavor and texture. Now, on to tempering. This is the process that gives chocolate its smooth texture and shiny finish. It involves carefully manipulating the temperature of the chocolate to control the crystallization of the cocoa butter. When chocolate is properly tempered, it will have a glossy appearance, a firm snap when broken, and will melt smoothly in your mouth. Tempering is done by first melting the chocolate to a specific temperature, then cooling it down, and finally warming it up again. This three-step process ensures that the cocoa butter forms the most stable crystals, resulting in a finished product with the desired qualities. The process of tempering might sound simple on paper, but it requires a great deal of precision and patience. Even a slight deviation in temperature can result in a less than perfect end product. But when done correctly, it's this careful tempering that contributes to the irresistible allure of a beautifully made bar of chocolate. So you see, these final steps, conching and tempering, are what transform the humble cacao bean into the luxurious treat we all know and love. They represent the culmination of a journey that begins with the harvesting of the cacao bean and ends with a product that is enjoyed by millions around the world. And with that, we have a finished bar of chocolate. So there you have it, the journey from bean to bar. It all begins in the tropical regions where the cacao tree thrives. This tree, the very origin of chocolate, produces pods that hold the precious cacao beans. Harvesting these beans is no small feat. It requires a keen eye and a careful hand to ensure only the ripe pods are chosen. Once harvested, the beans undergo a process of fermentation. This is where the beans start developing their complex, chocolatey flavors. They're left in a warm environment covered with banana leaves and turned regularly to encourage even fermentation. Following fermentation, the beans are then dried and roasted. The drying phase is critical as it reduces the moisture content, making them ready for roasting. Roasting is the stage where the beans crack open, revealing the nibs that carry the flavor we all know and love. The nibs are then ground into a paste, often referred to as chocolate liquor. This step releases the cocoa butter within the nibs, creating a smooth liquid chocolate. The final stages of the process, conching and tempering, are where the magic really happens. Conching grinds the chocolate liquor even more, while aerating and heating it to perfect the texture and flavor. Tempering, on the other hand, gives the chocolate its characteristic shine and snap. The next time you enjoy a bar of chocolate, you'll know exactly how it's made.